Welcome to the Jira Life, the place to find news, events, and interviews with the Atlassian community's movers and shakers. Join our hosts, Alex, Dr. Jira Ortiz, and Rodney, the Jira guy Nissen, as well as the Jira amigos in the peanut gallery, as we sit down and discuss the latest going on in the Atlassian ecosystem. Because we didn't choose the Jira Life, the Jira Life chose us.
It's too late to change.
To change your shirt?
Yeah,
Alex, we're on.
Yeah.
We're doing this.
Yeah, but I realized I have a GitKraken shirt.
Oh,
He really wants to
didn't
get us
choose appropriately, sir.
demonetized. That's all it is.
Even I failed the GitKraken shirt test here.
That's
My camera
okay.
says-
Valerie reminded me before the show that I need to go grab my TGL shirt.
You're wearing a TGO shirt.
Exactly, because Valerie reminded me.
I got mine. We'll
I
have to
have
send
mine.
you yours.
It's
We
all
got to exchange the T-shirts of the logos.
I got the old style. I'm not cool enough for the new one.
Rodney's got the backup to his TGL shirt, which is also a great segue to our sponsor of this episode, which is Revyz. Backing up your Jira. All right, we have a special guest whose name is not on the thingy, so I don't know who. Is it Ken? It's Ken, right? There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
There we
I
go.
rely on StreamYard to help me with our guests. Ken, we ran into each other, right? Please say yes.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
we started doing the barbecue and DevEx events together.
Okay. So we've been following each other across the country then.
Yes, all over the place, bouncing around.
And so we got a trip next week, right?
We do. Looking forward to it. So I'm East Coast US, and I've been bouncing over to the West Coast quite a bit. So I was there for team, and next week we'll be in San Fran for a fun event.
Most importantly, not an ACE event. We got to be very specific about it. It's not an ACE event, but it is a fun event.
It is a fun event. I love how this worked out.
Yeah.
But it's probably for the best. We will
So
have
you're-
barbecue in San Francisco.
You're showing us the LinkedIn invite. Is that what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So this is, again, the shameless plug is if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area next Wednesday, make sure you stop by and say hi to Ken. Say hi to me. Obviously, the fun man's going to be there, so you know it's going to be a fun time. And yeah, we're going to have fun. We won't have the ACE leaders, unfortunately. I think a lot of them, or almost all of them, are going to be out of town. But it's cool. We're going to hang out at Atlassian HQ and take a bunch of selfies with all the Atlassian stuff that they have in the office.
The
Alex,
G'day
you and I are
y'all
going
you
to be doing a
mentioned.
lot more talking because there's no Ed and no Bob. We're missing part of our crew. We're going to have lots more chatting to do.
I know. Usually I just say hi.
Who's going to do the barbecue if Ed's not there?
Ed never does the barbecue. He just picks it up.
What? Do I at
Not
least
true.
get like
Not
hand
true.
selected from Ed, or does he just like go to this corner store and get some barbecue? Like,
There
He-
is one city, one ACE group that gets Ed barbecue.
The one that never makes events.
Unfortunately, yes, which is why I don't have enough Ed barbecue in my life. The one time they did make an event was tonight, immediately after the stream, and there is no way I'm making it to where it is in time.
Hotlanta? Jira Mom is throwing out the spoiler alerts in the chat.
Yep.
Yep.
I have yet to have Ed's barbecue. I've had his sauce quite a bit.
That just sounds wrong. What
I
are you
know.
saying, Alex? This is a family show.
Until last year, he was convinced a barbecue involved hot dogs and hamburgers. So we're making progress.
That's a regional thing for sure. When they say barbecue by me, it's like grilling, right? There's no low and slow smoking going
Yeah,
on.
no, my aspirations of becoming a pit master went away 20 minutes into the cook last 2 weeks ago. This is not for me. Carne asada takes like 3 minutes to cook. And we're
Yeah,
done.
you guys were going for the long haul with the 3 days to cook.
Yeah, never again will I do. All funding from a smoker have been diverted to a different fun account now.
The last event we did in Scottsdale, which apparently is not a big barbecue location, came from a gas station. and it was surprisingly pretty. It was
It was
pretty good though.
good.
Yeah.
It was
I
good.
mean, I'm a fan of the Wawa, so I think some great things can come out of a gas station besides gasoline. So I could believe that.
I don't know. You walk into a gas station in Southern California, you're walking out with some disease or
Yeah,
drugs.
that's because you don't have a Wawa. I mean, if you had a Wawa, it
No.
would be a totally different story.
That's
Exxon,
where you
like,
actually
what do
have
you
that
eat? You have a
right.
Shell?
We have a
Yeah,
Shell.
it's only when I'm like on road trips that I get to enjoy a Wawa. But it's like Shell and Exxon and Mobil by me. That's it.
I'm just
Matt
going to put
doesn't
this
know the
out
glory
here.
of Wawa.
I'm just going to put
Like-
this out there, and I'm probably going to upset Valeri here. Buc-ee's is better than Wawa. I have been to both. I can objectively judge this. I'm sorry, Wawa does not hold a candle to Buc-ee's.
Whoa, you throwing down. You're not even fully recovered and you want to go to war? Are we going to battle it out, Rodney?
I have to be honest with myself and with the world. And this is in my heart of heart what I know to be true.
So they're building
Trust
a
me, my heart's been worked on enough.
they're building a Buc-ee's between my house and Bob's house, so I may have to start making more trips to visit Bob. Get some
I love
Wawa.
it.
Although I don't know where to find the nearest Wawa.
You
I
can't.
think
I
you
don't
have
think
to
it's on
drive
the
a
East
while.
Coast or West Coast.
Yeah, you have to drive well, Alex. I mean, it's not even down here. You have to drive up. I think the minimum is Virginia.
Mm.
Are they based out of Pennsylvania? Is that where they're from originally?
Yeah.
I think when you nail the name down, though, Wawa.
All right, guys, we've given a gas station enough airtime. We got to get to DevOps. Let's bring it on down. What happened at Teams 25 in the DevOps area? What were your favorite takeaways, your favorite announcements? Let's get cracking. Sarah with the puns. You know I love a good pun.
She
All right.
needed to separate it, though. She needed to say, let's get cracking. Like, it's spaced.
No, I
I'll-
see
I'll
that.
edit it.
You
I like
can't
that.
edit the pun. You gotta let the pun just hang. Just
Okay,
let
good.
it out there. Let it
That-
hang. All
Sure.
right, back to Teams 25. What were your DevOps favorites announcements?
I think this is something I saw referenced at Barcelona during Team 24 Europe when they were first talking about Rovo. They mentioned it again briefly, and then I think Valeri, it was an interview with you we published this week that mentioned it again. But it's this concept of Rovo agents that go out and you're like, either remove this feature flag or fix this bug for me. And then it just does the base work. And then you just check what it does.
Yes. I love all of those do it for me kind of features. I gotta say though, I've been reading the news. I try to follow what's going on in the AI game across vendors and providers. So Atlassian did their big announcement, which was not lost on me. I mean, I had my fangirl moment. I interviewed everybody associated to Rovo. It was amazing. It was beautiful. And then I read all of the announcements of other orgs that their AI kind of does the same thing where it'll go out there and do things for you. And so it's like I got that announcement and then similar announcement. I'm not even going to tell you who announced them because you're going to have to Google it or AI it because it's all about the Atlassian suite and the Atlassian ecosystem being able to, my favorite was because you're prompting AI differently to generate your code, it's the supports that they're designing to put in those tickets to help people write better tickets. I'm all about the education aspect within the ecosystem to support people's adoption of this new wave of the workplace. So give people the tools to get them to access the tools. You know what I mean? Historically, ticket writing they come on varieties of quality. And now we're setting the bar to a certain standard with these supports. And that's just to access the AI. So I appreciate them making the time to develop one so that people can get the other going well. Ken, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that part of it is really interesting to me because if you think about like writing a Jira ticket traditionally, it's like a prompt for someone to do something and you're communicating with another human. Now, when we create these work items, it's like, am I am I setting this up so that AI can actually take this and run with it and have the right context and the right commands and like actually do a good job? Or am I writing it in a human readable way? Am I doing both? Do I have enough information in Confluence where it can go and pull the information? So I think it's a really interesting time, because like when we hear these announcements of like everyone has Rovo now, it's included. It's not like tomorrow you just snap your fingers and everyone's off and running with it. There's going to be like a huge transition time for people to effectively use these tools that are available to them.
I forgot that I have, before you go into it, Alex, I forgot I have a brilliant, amazing announcement to make. And I didn't even tell anybody. Like, how is this even possible? So Atlassian reached out to me. I will be working on Rovo adoption with a senior PM, not Sharif. Everyone always asks me that, like, is it Sharif? Everything has to be related to Sharif. No, you got to give other people some time to shine. I won't tell who it is. We had our first meeting. We're going to have bi-weekly calls to check in on different aspects of enablement. So if you have a need, if you're looking for a thing, I think we're going to start with getting some solid case studies going so people can see what it looks like, what it can be, and put themselves in the shoes of the AI. But I'm really excited about that project. Now, Alex.
Yeah. I think that was me.
That was Rodney. I'm on mute.
Your goals. I don't know.
The ticket thing worries me a little bit, because there is a famous ticket that I've gotten a lot over my IT career. It's usually from some older gentleman or lady, and all it says is internet broke. And internet broke can mean anything from I can't access my email, to my password's not working, to my internet browser changed its logo and I can't find it.
And my favorite is the conviction that they have that something is indeed broken.
Yeah.
You can't sell that stuff, man. Some people are.
And I'm waiting to see. I have not seen a demo of how AI handles that ticket.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, Ken, you brought up a good concept. Like, am I prompting for the human, or am I prompting for AI, or is it both? I think what's going to happen is the prompts that work for AI will also work for the humans, because it's always a good communication practice to give someone context, give them an example, give them and get into that habit. The question for me is, how much description is going to be that right balance? Like, do I have to go into full depth? Are they really going to, because if you give too much context in a prompt, that's also not good. So finding that right balance to what is enough to get the desired action.
Yeah, and I'm still wrapping my head around. Still wrapping my head around like how the teamwork graph can help kind of bridge those gaps and make it easier and help out in that situation. So it'd be really interesting to see how it ends up fleshing out in actual usage.
Yeah, the teamwork graph, people do not talk about it enough. I will not get on my soapbox today to preach about said teamwork graph, but that's where the innovation, that's where I believe, I do not know, but I will hunt for them, where all the patents are in that teamwork graph. I think it's that key piece that they are talking about it enough, but not so deep that we know how it works. But I so want to investigate. Like, we have to do some behind the scene journalism at, I don't know, the US. I'm an hour away from DC. Let's go. We're going to go to the US patent office and be like, I need all the patents for Atlassian. Want to see them.
I think what we really need is an all expense paid trip to Sydney, invited to the Atlassian offices to see how the sausage is made, so to speak.
And check out Mike's wall of like memorabilia.
Yeah.
You want to go to Mike's office? Be like, hold on 1 second. Let me just go into his office. Just want to see where my book ended up.
I know, right?
Speaking of which, I was going to say you guys really took a step backwards in your guest after your last episode.
What? What? I take high offense to that. So everyone makes a moment out of Mike, and I do fully. It was a moment, like it was a keystone moment for Jira Life. But I think the thing that makes Jira Life great is that we have the community. The community, Jira Life is the Jira Amigos. We have Mike, but we also have the person who's running your app, the person who is on the ground floor that's interacting with customers. We have every single level, because if you're just hitting the big names, that's great, but you're not really seeing the perspective of the whole community. You're only getting one viewpoint of whatever it is. And so like one of the examples is DevOps for enterprise. We talk about DevOps for enterprise customers all of the time, and it's usually a technical DevOps kind of model where they're creating something technical in development and it gets pushed to production, and there's that balance. But we rarely ever talk to the small organizations or talk about how they're using DevOps. And to me, it looks very different. DevOps is very different depending on the size of the organization, because what I have in DevOps model sometimes is I have a small team that is working both sides, that they are developing and doing the operations in one swing, and they have to really know which hat to put on at which moment in time. And it's a very different problem to solve for, and it has different challenges and use cases and modes of communication, because sometimes it's just a game of multiple personalities. So to me, it's the Jira Amigos that makes this. Mike is another take.
Mike was on because he was a Jira Amigo.
Is that you on the audio?
I don't know.
What's wrong?
I hear Rodney really echoey.
Yeah, I'm really echoey for some reason. I'm trying to figure out why.
Sounding okay now.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. But Mike was on because he was a Jira Amigo.
He is.
He is a Jira Amigo. He is probably going to be listening to this next week on his ride into Sydney. Was it a big deal? Yes. I think anyone who was on our Slack when I got that email will know we all thought it was a big deal. But
first we all thought it was an April Fool's joke, and then we thought it was a big deal.
True story. But I don't think we're taking a step back. I think, as Bob put it in a post earlier this week, we are just continuing the mission, talking with as many community members and Jira Amigos as we can.
Yeah, it's fun. I was happy to be invited when Bob asked and sent out the invitation, because we've crossed paths a lot, so it was cool to finally be a part of it.
So Ken, I got a question for you. Atlassian is clearly in the system of work stuff, right? And they're really big on, we're going to go after the other 99% that aren't in Jira, and we're going after non-technical fields.
Mm-hmm.
Non-technical teams, I should say. How does that make you all feel as GitKraken, as a company that serves the other half? Because to me, it feels like Jira is really shifting towards non-technical teams, but here's a team that's kind of keeping the dream alive.
Yeah, I mean, it's on one hand, I think they are trying to expand, obviously, to serve, but it seems like with a lot of their stuff, they're still very much focused on the developer side. So they're almost looking for that to kind of pull everyone else in. I know at GitKraken, like, we all use Jira. The development team does, but like the marketing team, some people on the marketing team use it, some people don't. There's no real like standardization on it. But I think the more you have things like Rovo that's kind of at the center of it and is like reaching its tentacles in the teamwork graph, like reaching its tentacles into all these different data sources and systems, the more value it provides across all those teams. I was in my role, I'm talking to customers and like getting product feedback and things like that. I'm not directly on the product team, but I'm like adjacent to it. But it's like, even if someone like me in a product marketing role could, take customer feedback and very quickly get that into a work item that then can have code generated to it, it's like you're almost expanding your development team. Now, obviously, that comes with lots of problems and gates you would want to have in there. But it is interesting to just see that. I think as there's more value and there's more AI and more systems connected, I think teams will naturally want to become part of that ecosystem.
And if you were allowed to share, what's GitKraken doing with respect to Rovo? Like, are you guys Robo first, trying to figure out how to beat all the other competitors in your space, or are you guys taking more of a let's see what happens type of approach?
Yeah, I mean, general, I would say we're pretty agnostic. So, we're a Git focused company. So we connect to GitHub, GitLab, Azure DevOps, Bitbucket. And I think in the AI space, it'll be the same. Like whatever customers you're using, we want to connect to that and be able to provide value with it. So I think after team, like seeing how big of a central thing Rovo and the teamwork graph has become, I know definitely internally we're talking more about like what can we do with Rovo and
because I mean you guys have a lot of user data.
Yeah. So on the developer tool side, we have 40 million developers that use our tools. So any way we can help make their lives easier, that's what we're focused on. And
right.
Being an Atlassian partner, like makes total sense.
So if you don't mind me asking, then how do you, I don't want to ask, maybe your opinions are your own a little bit, right? But how do you feel then about Rovo accessing your user base and your data? Like, is it something that you're excited about or worried? Privacy, monetization?
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes, the customers themselves, right, have perspectives on that. Like what do they want to share and where is it going? But like I said, if we can help solve problems for developers and for development teams, like we want to be part of that, right? If we're not part of it, they'll leave us behind and work with someone else. So the people that are using our tools use it for a reason because it's providing value, and we need to, adapt to what people are doing, right? You can't ignore AI. If we did that, people would, say, why am I paying for this? They're not even like with what's going on in the world. So I don't have a deeper answer in regards to like sharing the data, but I think we're open to anything that makes life easier for developers and their teams.
Yeah, because I bring it up because like if I was an app maker, right, you're going to be on one of two sides, right, where you're like either you're going to embrace it because it's the future, right, and obviously Atlassian's investing heavily, or you're not going to embrace it and you're going to try to lock up your stuff because Atlassian's driving their business higher by being able to use you as a convenience. You being not GitKraken, but you being a vendor.
Yeah, in my original answer was from like the half of our business that's developer tools. When you talk about like a marketplace app, that's obviously there's more things to consider, right? Because on one hand, we're providing additional value that customers aren't getting from the Atlassian set, but on the other hand, are we in a place where like Atlassian might just start building that stuff in themselves and has the data to do it? So I think that's just a natural consideration that every app vendor needs to think about.
Yeah, and then Alex and I did interview a ton of people at the Partner Accelerator, and they had interesting concepts, like interesting ideas, interesting thoughts in their head about what was going on. And one of them was that with AI, with the amount of features that Atlassian is rolling out, where does that end? Where does the relevance of their apps come in? Do some of them go out of market because they are now a native feature within the ecosystem? Or do they invest in AI? What approach do they get? And one of the conversations I had with Bob, different Bob, Cat Bob, as I call him, Catworks Bob? Bill. Bob's. See? Oh my God. This week, side note, I called Alex's son by a different name than Majay. Like, no matter whose name I mess up, Alex's son is the worst name to mix up because I married his wife not too long ago. But it is, that's a different podcast. We'll go into how that happened. But
we really need a TJL After Dark podcast at some point.
Adults
Team 26,
only.
Team 25 Europe. I don't know when we're going to get it done, but we definitely need a TJL After Dark.
Yes, Alex can talk about his barbecue sauce. All kinds of things. So inappropriate. You all are going to get me fired from all of life. But so Cat Bill, was talking about AI, and he's really anxious and eager to get into all the AI things. And one of the items that came out of that conversation was starting to see the internal apps workflows. And how can the internal team, not necessarily the users of the app or the end users, use it, but the internal team that works on that app use it and see where the value is for them before making the attempt to then push a feature out that is AI driven for their customers and consumers. That way, when they do make that leap, they have an insight into where the AI would be most meaningful to them. That's a lot.
Was there a question in there?
No. I'm free flowing like
at
Alex
Ken's face
does.
going like,
So it's a whole different story when others free flow, right, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing to consider too is like most apps have a user experience that people are like going to and using, or go someplace in Jira to use it. And with more of the AI stuff and agents, it's like you're not even going to necessarily have to see those apps or interact with them. So unless you have some sort of special data that you store, it's possible you could get replaced.
Scary. So what are you going to do, Ken? What's the next steps?
You just need more special sauce. So
This is not the after hours show. Jira Mom, come save us.
Don't.
No, I
I
think
don't know if
that's
Sarah would regulate on you guys or take it to a whole new level, because there's a part of Sarah that you're like, Sarah, you went from mom to MILF. What happened?
I think you broke
Parker Valley
Alex.
is the one that's going to get everybody fired.
Or
No.
she's going to get us tons of views. One or the other. We don't know which one yet.
No.
There's definitely an interesting other community within the Atlassian ecosystem, apparently.
Yeah. But seriously, we've seen this dynamic. This is not new with Atlassian. I mean, even going back to data center, first big example I remember of this happening, because I was working with them at the time as a customer, was when Jira Data Center announced that, hey, you want SAML SSO? Well, that's now native in the app. There was a marketplace partner that did that already, one that we've worked closely with in the past, Resolution. And it was like, they're kind of raining on your parade a little bit. And I loved Resolution's response to this, because like, look, we're going to do it better than Atlassian does it to prove we have. There's a reason to buy us over them. And we're going to diversify into other niches, other products, other things, to that way, even if they do get all the features we've got, we're still good. I think we definitely need to start looking at that. Or marketplace partners definitely need to start looking at with Rovo. Even if Rovo replaces something the app already does, it's like, well, we need to get proof we're better than what Rovo's providing, and we need to come up with something new using Rovo.
Yeah, and I think that goes down to really knowing as an organization where your key differentiators are. So I did a fun exercise this week of putting all 630 something marketplace providers and service providers, so whether they have an app or a service in Atlassian, I friended them under the Jira Life on LinkedIn. This was a process. It took some time. And I was going through them, and as I was entering them, comparing the different features to various different apps, saying, okay, like, oh, maybe I want to partner with this app sometime in the future. Oh, wait, this app is kind of similar to this app. So how do you make yourself different from all of the others? And this is a question for Ken and GitKraken.
And I second that.
It's funny because we actually, so Git integration for Jira, our marketplace app, has been in the marketplace since it launched like 10 years ago. And we've kind of been competing with Atlassian through that time, because there's native or Atlassian created apps to integrate GitHub and GitLab. So Rodney's point of like, hey, we're technically doing the same thing, but we're just going to do a better job of it and give you value add on top of what the bare bones is, right? Because connecting your Git repository with Jira, there's a bare bones level to it of like, yeah, it's in there, but what can you actually do with that information now that it's in Jira? And that's the direction where we're going. And I don't know if you guys have talked about like app editions at all that are coming in the marketplace, where there's a standard edition and now there can be an advanced edition to those marketplace apps. we're kind of doubling down on like, what's all this other insights and information and things that we can help teams do with this information that's in Jira. So that's our focus.
That's a good point then,
Going
Ken. So
above and
I'm
beyond.
assuming that, and I don't want to get you fired, but I'm assuming that internally you guys are trying to figure out how your platform can leverage homegrown AI items to further drive the insights that your app can provide.
Yeah, when you say
like finding bottlenecks or common bugs that are being checked in, or common PR errors, right? Stuff like that, where you can leverage your internal AI to help your end user go, stop making this mistake.
Right. Yeah. And we already started looking at stuff like identifying issues that are at risk based on their lack of Git activity or a PR that's been open for too long, right? In a like simple to consume view. So someone like easily knows what issues need their attention. But in the world of AI, right, I can prompt something if it has that information to like give me that list of issues. And then if I have an agent, maybe I can program an agent to go do something. So we just have to be part of that workflow and provide value in that chain somewhere to be relevant.
Matt Thor is apparently not paying for YouTube Premium, so he's getting swamped by YouTube ads.
You're welcome for that too.
Matt, it's all in YouTube's algorithm. They must feel like you don't watch enough YouTube, so they got to serve you up with more ads. I don't think we control that, right, Rodney? Like,
No. We set it to monetize or not monetize, and that's all the control we get.
YouTube kind of figures out where they plop them in. I do know that when you have a longer recording, you are allowed to figure out where you pop in your ads, but in the live stream, we're not. We're here.
Yeah.
And Bob's not even in the room, so he's definitely not Bob either.
When did you go to the Partner Accelerator at Teams 25?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
What were your big takeaways? What were your thoughts, impressions on it?
I felt like we got a little bit of a preview of what was going to happen like the day after. So from that perspective, it was like kind of good to get a heads up. It's also always good to just like get FaceTime with partners and make relationships like that. So I thought it was valuable from that perspective. Connect with people on LinkedIn, create some plans of like, how can we help each other after the fact? So from that perspective, I thought it was good. But yeah, I thought, if you're going to the actual team event, you're just kind of getting a bit of a primer on what's coming next.
Yeah, there was a moment in that first day that people were really wanting to network. Everyone we interviewed was like, I'm here for the networking. I'm an app provider. I'm trying to find other people who do complementary services or vice versa. Or my clients are using different apps. I want to find their owners because I have questions about their functionality. And no one was listening to go. It was time to go into the rooms for the sessions. No one was listening. So the next day they started using a gong to get people into the room, which I thought was both hilarious. But you see that there was a need there. Like people want to have networking opportunities that to them is really valuable for the partners. So how do you leverage that so that it's a planned part of that partner experience? Because there are a lot of introverts in our industry, me being one of them, that if you just put me in a room with and Rodney, this is why we get along so well in Barcelona. It's because when there's like this ton of like free form groups of people, we're just like, this is a bit much.
I mean, I told you guys earlier this week about how I snuck out a bash at Barcelona.
Yes. And I was in the corner at 9:30. I was like, yeah, I got all the people and they're really cool. Did lots of dancing, but now I just need alone time.
My favorite Valeri moment at Team 25 is we're hanging out with AppFox. It's like 10:30 p.m. And I just see Valeri, Dr. Valeri, mind you, with her fingers doing, Alex, it's like 2:30 in the morning where I live. I'm so tired. Just let me go to sleep now.
Yes. Oh my God. Alex. Oh, so mind you, not to do story time on you, Ken, but Alex is like, Oh, Fun Man event is just across the street from the CVS. Does anybody know the definition of just across the street? Literally, you walk across the crosswalk and there's across the street. No. This event is blocks away, blocks away.
Down.
And I am so tired. And this is just one of 2 events that I am accompanying. I'm thankful and grateful to be accompanying you to. And so then we go to the next one, and it's only like 10:30 at night in California time. But in my time, it's 2:30 a.m. and I am in bed at 9:30. Like we're just gonna have a cleansing breath here, Ken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt that as an East Coast person. I always try to like
none of this
keep
would have
myself on
happened.
East Coast time, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. For the record, none of this would have happened had she listened to me and actually gotten out of her hotel on time.
Okay, first of all, cultural norms here. I'm Puerto Rican. If I go and I'm there 2 hours late, I'm on time. Going there and trying to get there early or on time is literally not in our language. That's rude. That's like they're still setting up the party. People are still warming up by then. Like, Alex, we're gonna throw it down. Where's Lina? We need a regulator. She's my wife, by the way.
I mean, I'm Mexican. For the barbecue, I seriously like. 2 things came to mind. One, I was like, there's no way in hell we're gonna have enough food. And 2, I can't believe everybody left. Like everybody was there during the window we described. And
We're
that is
respectful.
but that is the opposite of a Mexican party. Like you show up 2 hours late and then you stay until the next day. And then you take the food home with you.
I think Alex is inviting us all to stay over the next year, Teams 26. Is that what I'm hearing?
You know,
I mean,
always
we're
have
already
an
making
invitation.
plans.
Let's make
Is
it
there a
happen.
location for 26?
So, what was
Is
the
there a
question?
location for 26?
Yeah, the same place.
Anaheim.
Oh, it is Anaheim? Nice.
Yep.
Did you
Yeah.
enjoy Anaheim? Which do you like better, Anaheim or Vegas?
I'm not a Vegas person, so I missed team last year. I went in 23. And I like Anaheim, the vibe of it, Valeri. The vibe was much nicer. Very chill. Like I enjoyed walk. My hotel was a mile from the
Ooh.
center, so I got a nice long walk every morning and just enjoyed it. So yeah, I preferred Anaheim.
I have yet to meet someone who is like, maybe Fun Man Andy, maybe be the only, and Chris Cook, okay, 2 people are like, yeah, Vegas, let's do this. Everybody else is like, California vibes. I like it.
The problem that those 2 had was that, like, I remember my first team, Team 23, when Chris and Andy were at the center stage with custom charts for Jira. They had money to throw around, so they had an after party after the bash that started at 11 p.m. They went into God knows how long, and like Vegas just doesn't sleep, right? And so a lot of feedback I was hearing was like, well, at 2 a.m. you're getting cut off from alcohol. And I'm like, well, it's probably not a bad problem.
Is it really now? I don't think that's bad of a problem. So Barcelona, let's all prepare people for Barcelona. The bash was in the most gorgeous 2 restaurants right on the beach. So you take stairways down, you go into these 2 restaurants, and the restaurants look out into the beach. So we got a beautiful sunset, nice dance floor. I'm all on the dance floor. And people just kept drinking and drinking and drinking. 10 o'clock rolls around, the place is closing down. No one moves. The bouncers had to do a clean sweep of the place to get people going. The staff were putting chairs up, tables up. No one was moving whatsoever.
I feel like Atlassian has a habit then of a good year, bad year. Because Team 23...
that was good year. This is a good year. There's good year, good year.
Team 23 bash was in the expo hall. In the keynote hall. Team 24 bash was in the topless area of the Wynn. So very exclusive, very, very, very exquisite area. Sucky food, and I think Atlassian's food has gone degraded over the last 3 years. But I'm hopeful then that next year we'll get a better bash. Although I did enjoy the rock concert much better than the dance party.
See, you liked it there, Alex. There you go. And the food in Barcelona was on point. It was so very tasty. They did local vibes. I could guarantee. I was like, yep, this is good. This is good. Just happened.
Good.
Ken, are you going to Barcelona?
I believe I am. Yeah, that's the plan. I didn't go last year, so this will be the first time to Team Europe.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
As
We'll
I was
have to get
telling-
your feedback from the floor when
As
you go
I
out there.
said to the TGL crew this week, yeah, I was having fun. The Barcelona bash was great, good vibe, everything Valerie described. But about 9:30, I was bored.
No,
I had eaten all the food. I said hi to everyone I wanted to. It
we
was just
we
kind of
closed out
getting meh.
Bash this year.
So
In fact, Sarah went and sat down for an extra like 20 minutes.
what
at
I
11
did,
p.m.
what I did is I actually just left. And I started going back to the hotel.
Oh
and like,
boy,
what geocaches are around here?
you should
So
start.
I just kept finding geocaches all the way back to the hotel.
You should start preparing yourself because we will be out. This was a candy wall. Oopsie. This was a candy wall at Team 23. Come on, focus. Candy wall.
Are you asking Atlassian to bring back the candy wall?
I think Atlassian
Yes.
should bring back the candy wall. They had just superb food on Team 23. They
I will
had
say Barcelona did not have a candy wall, but it did have a donut wall.
we had an ice cream cart full of ice cream at Team 23.
So when there's
We
a
had
wall of
delicious
donuts or
cookies
candy,
at
do you
Team
just pick
23.
it off the wall? How does
Yes,
that work?
actually. Yes, you do.
Yeah. There was a lady making
Interesting.
like chocolate bombs at Team 23. Like she was like, "Which one do you want?" And like she'd pour like something hot, like hot chocolate on top of a chocolate ball, and it was like delicious.
But we had
Nice.
funnel cake and popcorn, one of my two favorite food groups.
Shrimp, tables of shrimp.
I'm allergic. Also, I'm now allergic to the funnel cake. Let's all take a moment of
Wait,
silence
wait,
for all
wait.
my food
No, no.
allergies.
We got to go back.
Yes.
Are you
To the
really
shrimp?
allergic to shellfish?
Yes.
I will tell you that Valerie
sorry.
made the
We went back just for that. Yes.
I'm Cajun. Shellfish is life, and I am sorry. I don't think if I developed shellfish allergy, I'm just going ahead and putting my living will in place, getting my affairs in order, and that's just going to be it.
Yeah, same here. When the wheat allergy became a thing, I was like, okay, I could die now. Just kill me now. The substitutes are not viable substitute. They just taste like cardboard. We're not going to, I digress. Ken, back to you. Ken, get cracking. Get cracking.
I was gonna say life without pizza. You know that doesn't sound too great.
all I can
I
tell
eat
you.
cauliflower pizza. It's just,
Okay.
Maybe
and all
here
I can
and
tell
there,
you,
but not for the rest
My
of the time.
appreciation for Valerie like dropped from
I'm so
Sunday,
sorry. It's not my
from Sunday that
fault.
we met through Friday that we.
Wow, that's all it takes. That is all it takes for Alex's opinion of you to drop is your lack of
Food
ability to eat food without it killing you. Do you see this? Do you see the abuse? Jira Mom, Robert, I need you. Where's the rest of the team?
Hey, I saved you your gluten-free muffin so you could eat later.
You did. I got to say, shout out to the Jira Life team and Alex. One morning I was running late, and sometimes getting a hold of edible food when you have so many allergies is difficult. They robbed that cart like Alex is Mexican, like straight up. Woo! If he had a purse, it would have been full. Wow, I'm still gonna get in trouble.
Sarah made a recommendation. I took the action. So she did not give me anything.
So I think we've gone quite off topic at this point.
Yes,
I
back
mean,
to
it is a
topic.
Jira Life.
This is why you're
Get
not allowed to
cracking,
bring
get
Valerie on the
cracking.
show.
I said that. It was Alex who got me off.
We were talking about teams, so it wasn't that far off, right?
I'm just saying we need better food for Team 26.
Atlassian,
Yes.
Mike, all of you guys, if you're
I
listening to this, Alex
I
has
lost,
given
like,
his opinion.
I lost like 5 pounds because I just didn't eat any. I was like, there's nothing. There was not enough sugar.
That
That's
is
tacos.
such a first world problem, Alex.
But on Lina's point here, Team 25, I don't know. I think it's starting to make the rounds, but it's on Cinco de Mayo. So we got to have tacos on day one.
Are you going to
Sorry,
join us,
Team
Ken?
26.
You going to
I'll
make
be
this
there.
magic happen? You'll be there?
I'll be there
All
for
right.
sure.
Tacos. I'll
Bring your
introduce you to
sombrero.
my wife. She's amazing. Just want to shout out to Lina in the crowd. Her last name may be Ortiz, but we're hyphening it. It's Ortiz Cologne. So GitKraken AI. Tell us about GitKraken AI.
Bob, I was getting there. I saw it the first time.
Bob's like low key hint, 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 hint.
Yeah, so GitKraken AI was something we launched into preview at the very end of March. And we had some AI features, that we were building into the products, but this was kind of like our line in the sand of saying we're doing lots of stuff with AI moving forward and basically building AI into all of our plans for the products. So no matter what subscription people have on our developer tools products now, it includes tokens for them to use AI within GitLens or GitKraken Desktop, whatever they're using. They can also bring their own key. So if they're using other providers, they can actually connect it to that as well. So some of the things people use us for, so GitKraken Desktop is a Git GUI. So people that are working with Git that do not want to use
bless your
command
heart
line.
for that, by the way, because I could never figure out how to do Git in the terminal. I need to visually see the branches. I can't without it.
And that's why it's popular, right? So especially if someone's new to Git or just does not want to have to remember everything, use GitKraken Desktop to visualize it. They can drag and drop, right click. Basically, you don't need to know the commands, but you can operate safely and get to use that. And then GitLens, which is the #1 extension for VS Code. So for developers using VS Code, GitLens brings that same sort of capabilities into GitLens. So you can see the commit graph there, and also in your code, see inline blame. So understand, who changed that line of code when and why. So we have lots of people using these tools already. So on the AI side, we're just kind of getting started, but a couple of things we're doing is AI commit message generation. So a lot of times people might just put garbage in a commit message, right? Just to check the box and get it done. Yeah.
Guilty.
This is a commit or change the file. So with the AI commit message, basically you can click a button and based on the files you've edited, based on the lines of code you changed, it will spit out a commit message that is usable by anyone that's looking at that repository so that they understand. And you can customize it too. Like if you want to put a character limit or you want to make sure it always includes a set of information or is formatted a certain way, you can put in like custom instructions. So when you are generating those, that's accounted for.
Is GitLens a separate purchase? Like, can you get one or the other? Or
nope, it's all one subscription. So you buy GitKraken and you can use GitKraken Desktop. You can use GitLens. There's a web interface. So you get access to all the tools under that subscription.
And so, but help me understand then, because how do then GitHub, GitLab, and ADO or Azure Just DevOps, like how do you guys integrate with that then?
That's what we're connecting to like execute the.
So you're not storing the source code per se then?
No, so a customer would have something like GitLab, but then they would use GitKraken Desktop to essentially work with their repositories that are on GitLab. So it's going to visualize that structure of all their.
So like source tree, like Atlassian source tree,
similar,
but better.
Yes, exactly.
But better.
Yeah.
To be fair, no shade to Atlassian, but it's not hard to do better than source tree.
Has source tree been updated since 2016? I haven't seen any updates to go source tree.
There's a lot of individual developer purchases of GitKraken too. Like we've always been a for developers by developers kind of company. So developers are spending their own money for it, but now we're pushing more towards like, how do we help teams work better together? How do we help developers collaborate with each other? How do we help their team leaders and managers like understand what the team's stuck on, or if there's a roadblock to free them up, right? So that's the direction we're going. But everything we're doing, even like with the AI stuff, we're not trying to replace developers. We're trying to make them more efficient and like get rid of the roadblocks that slow them down.
I saw the best thing online this week, where apparently ChatGPT's hallucinations are so out of control where it's making up libraries that just don't exist in the code that it recommends for you to copy paste. And I just wondered like the havoc that this is going to cause in the industry. Like, you have to double check your AI responses.
Absolutely. I do want to say something though. I've always had trouble getting concise commit messages that explain what I did, especially if I'm debugging, because at some point it'll just devolve into work, damn it. So
I think 20 commits into a bug, you start giving up hope on humanity and on yourself.
So if someone could do the commit messages so they don't devolve to that, that is a huge win for not only your sanity when you're sitting there trying to debug, but the person who has to follow it up going, okay, but what exactly did they change in this commit?
Yeah, for sure. And that actually, one of the other things we do is AI commit explanations. So let's say other people on your team put some really crappy commit messages, right? And you're stuck trying to understand what and why. Instead of having to look through all those changes, select all those commits, one click AI explain these commits, and it'll tell you, based on all the commits you selected, what was changed, why, what's the potential impact.
But is it looking at the code changes, or is it
Yeah.
looking at the text that people put in?
The code changes that are in those commits, not the message itself, because we're going to assume they put a crappy commit message.
And then would it go in there and change that message based on the change in the code? No,
it wouldn't do that. But it wouldn't do that, but it's helping you understand what was done, so you have that context as you're building on it.
What about from a peer review process? What are you guys doing there?
So a couple of things we're doing is kind of like on the pull request, if people have suggestions on how you should change, like as they're reviewing it, or like a cloud patch before you even get to the pull request, we're making it really easy to kind of share these pieces of code or suggested changes earlier in the process. But nothing, I would say, AI enabled at this point on that end.
Atlassian made like a little mention, I think, when they went over the developer part fairly quickly, but they threw out a very interesting graphic, right? They said like 86% of developer time is spent not writing code.
Mm-hmm.
And then they threw out like everything else that you're doing. And I feel like that's a lot of prime, opportunities for something like GitKraken.
Where we'll go is like determining who the right person is to review it, based on availability and their knowledge of working with that code in the past, based on previous commits, things like that. There was one other thing I wanted to mention.
I'm feeling this comment real quick from Philip a little too hard. Quote, other people on your team, unquote, or yourself yesterday.
Yeah. But I like the general idea though, because like I feel like I think where I would benefit a lot is as a newbie developer, or not even a newbie developer, but as a developer that's entering a code base for the first time, like the probability that you're going to be working on a new code base is pretty low, right? So having the opportunity to understand, or like say, here's the last 100 commits, like what's going on with this code here? Like what do the 3 people behind me do? I think would be beneficial to kind of get you up to speed.
Yeah, and that's why GitLens is nice too. Just like as you're working on the code, you can basically see the history of it and why it was changed.
But can it write the documentation for you?
We do have
actually documentation.
We do have the ability to create a change log based on all the changes. So it'll spit that out into a file, which is great to start to write like release notes.
That is my pet peeve. Poor change logs is a pet peeve. When I see that on like software releases where the only thing is optimizations of bug fixes. Do you know what you did or not? Or you're afraid this is a liability at this point? Because if you mess up so bad it's liability, I also really want to know that.
I know I'm guilty of that, writing, bug fixes. And I'm like, I wonder if there's a customer that's going to be like, well, what were the bug fixes?
One of my favorite things
that was me.
When I used to be in the DevOps space, there was like a code smells capability where like it would put like some level of rottenness to your code quality to see how bad or how good your code was. And I wonder if you guys have like a PR or a commit code smell to see how crappy or not crappy your commits are.
We did have a tool that would like measure how good your team was at like reviewing pull requests and like merging them on time, but never something like that.
What are your thoughts on, man, I don't remember the name of the tool, but there's a tool out there from a developer's productivity perspective that kind of measures all the signals, right? So it's looking at how many commits your team's doing, how many builds it failed, how many builds it passed, to kind of give you just the general consensus of like, is my team doing well or not well? How do you guys like, I don't know, I don't even think I have a question, but just what are your thoughts on like tools that kind of give situational awareness to developers, I guess.
Yeah, those analytics tools. And what analytics tools do you find valuable that GitKraken has or might have in the future?
Yeah, Bob said Compass. That's where I was thinking initially you were going.
I'm not
with
thinking
it.
it's not an Atlassian tool. I'm googling it.
There's all sorts of tools that'll give you like the Dora metrics for engineers. I do know I mentioned like for GitKraken, there's one subscription and you get access to lots of stuff. One of those is a web interface that has some of those insights on like for a specific team you're looking at, how quickly are the PRs being merged.
And it's linear B, by the way.
Yeah, linear B. Yeah, they're big in that space. So I think
you guys compete with linear B?
No, I would say that's their like whole focus is that kind of analytics space. Whereas for us, that's a piece of what we do, but it's I wouldn't say our main focus.
And then for our non-technical folks here, walk me through what's the Dora metric again? Because I'm just thinking Dora the Explorer. And I'm sure that's not what it is.
It's a set of I
Piping.
think 4 to 6 productivity metrics that like are used to determine how well an engineering team is producing. So you measure these things and basically gives you a baseline of like how well your team is working, how quickly things are getting done, how often things you put out there need to get fixed and changed, how quickly an issue gets created to when it's actually pushed to production, things like that.
Not too bad, not too bad.
But I do think it's important when we talk metrics is a lot of those are like top down, right? Like your director of engineering might have the metrics on his team and like no one really knows what they're being judged against. So from a developer experience standpoint, I think it's always important that like the teams all have access to these dashboards. Like what are we being judged against? What does good mean? What does bad mean, right? So you can actually see as an individual contributor or a team manager, like how is your team getting graded? How are you getting graded? And you know, what are the levers you can actually pull to achieve what is being expected of you from management?
Yeah, and ReSharper is another tool that I've used that I feel I get a lot of vibes from when I look at your guys' stuff. I don't know if you've seen
What was it?
ReSharper by JetBrains.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I guess it does something similar, but very .NET specific. Which brings up the question: you guys don't care about your language, right? You guys are
Correct.
language agnostic.
Yep.
Awesome.
I miss the coding days. What are your thoughts on vibe coding? Where's the vibe coding?
Yes, so there's a meme out there. There's a meme out there that says vibe coding, a way two developers can create like weeks of a technical debt in a few minutes. And that's a misquote, but you've seen this meme. What are your thoughts on vibe coding?
I think it's one of those things where it's interesting to create like a prototype or like an MVP of something, especially if you're by yourself. But once you start working with a team and having to actually like push these things to production and do security audits and make sure you're in compliance with stuff, I think you could run into problems there. So it's like all the AI stuff it's a tool to be used, but it's not the only thing that should be used. You need like a human in the loop somewhere to actually put eyes on it.
So Dr. Valeri doesn't know yet, but we're going to be making an Atlassian marketplace app using vibe coding.
Oh, I can't wait.
Is it going to be?
I'm gonna run it through GitKraken and see how well you're coding for your Dora matrix. I'm gonna throw them all down there.
Vibe coding is something you do to yourself in private.
Again, this is not the after hours episode.
This is not TJ After Dark. We'll get there. Team 25 Barcelona, probably.
Yeah, Barcelona is a different vibe. I hope everyone is ready. It's a little more chill, a little more laid back, a little smaller, so it's not as overwhelming. I think it was a good introduction for any introvert into the system.
We say that, but I still managed to stay plenty busy as the sole person from TGL there last year, so I will appreciate heavily having some help.
And Jellyfish is the tool that I've been trying to think of for the last 5 minutes. I don't know if you've seen or heard of Jellyfish.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first one that I used.
Yep.
Fun fact, Bob, YouTube only cares about swearing in the first 7 minutes of a video. After that, you can say whatever you want.
Well, and most of the jokes were very like implied, not explicit. We kept it at least PG-13.
It all matters of where your head's at. So if you're gonna be in the gutter, that's all. It's on you. We were just speaking normal English.
Anyways, Ken, we're rounding out the hour. We definitely appreciate having you on. That being said, I think we start a new tradition at Team 25.
Thankfully,
Do you know our tagline, perchance?
Hold on. I know the essence of it. I didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose me.
Yep.
Yes.
Thanks,
Excellent
everyone.
job.
And we'll see you all next week.
Thanks all.
See you next weekend.
Thank you for listening to the Jira Life. Our hosts are Alex, Dr. Jira Ortiz, and Rodney, the Jira Guy, Nissen. You can find Alex on YouTube at 8Tech Tutorials, and Rodney's blog is found over at thejiraguy.com. Our producers are Robert King Bob Wen and Lina Ortiz. You can catch us live as we record this podcast every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube at The Jira Life. Be sure to join us and our other Jira Amigos of the Peanut Gallery every week to ask your questions, let us know your comments, and just tell us what you're up to. But if you can't join us live, you can still catch the replay over on YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell while you're watching. We're also available as a podcast over on Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you listen to it and think it deserves a rating, we would very much appreciate it, as it will help others discover the Jira Life. Because we didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose us.